Love, light, and prosperity. This is your girl, Goddess Ruby, and I am coming at you with an enlightening message, something to put on your brain for the week. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and then hit that bell notification so that you're able to be notified anytime that I go live. I want to thank you all for tuning in with me. Thank you for watching my channel. And as you know, I don't own any of the rights to the music, but just go ahead and vibe out with me as we touch on a couple of these topics, right? And so, as I stated, today was Mother's Day. It was a gloomy day, but your girl is feeling mighty bright. Why do black women have babies? This is something that we need to talk about, ladies. This is something that we need to talk about, ladies and men. It's not just about the ladies. But because it is Mother's Day, we are, focused more or less towards the women. And because I am an African American or black Aborigine, Native American woman, however it is that you want to call it, we are all one when it comes to the eyes of the enemy or to the eyes of the opposition. So it's time for us to start looking at our issues from us, not from women who want to portray us or women who want to learn and act like us. No. It's time for us as black women to start talking about our issues so that we are able to heal our community. Because there is no black, Aborigine, Native American, any of that without us. We are the creators of the civilization. So with that being said, let's get into it. Why are we having babies, ladies? Why are we having babies? Then I want us to take a look at this because a statistic has been brought to my attention, and I'm pretty sure it's been brought to your attention many times before, and it's been a statistic that everybody knows, that 73% of African American or black households are ran by African American and black women. And when we look at the numbers compared to other races, it doesn't even compare. It doesn't compare, and it's a sad and it's a hurtful situation, because being a single mother, an African American single mother, is an attack in so many different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, every day. And I live it every day. And so I want us, the baby mothers, because we don't have a platform. It's like we don't have a voice. It's like we are shut out of the world because we are considered some type of disabled because of the simple fact that we have a baby and no man to help us. When we didn't put ourselves in this situation, we didn't ask for this lifestyle. We didn't really ask. So that's why I want us to get into it. Why do we have babies? Let's get into it. And before I say this, before we get into it, I am not anti other races, but I am pro my black woman. Because like I said, I am a black woman. I am my sister. So when you fuck up, I fuck up with you. So I want us to be able to get into this. Why black women have babies? Why we have children? In order to understand what a good mother is, because there is no perfect mother, but I've had to learn over the years, because I feel like I wasn't taught all the things that I needed to be in order to be a successful mother and just a successful woman. I wasn't taught all the things. I wasn't taught all the tools, only because we just weren't taught all the tools as a collective, and it has been that way for a reason. And that's fine, because we take all of that with a grain of salt, and in my Maya Angelou voice, still I rise. So we know for generation and generation, from the 60s to the 70s, that is the generation that birthed the 80s and the 90s. I was born in the 90s, right? All of my siblings were born in the 90s. And so the 80s and 90s babies, we are now raising the 2000 babies. We are raising the future. And in order for us to really be able to raise the future the way that they need to be raised, in order for them not to suffer from the same things we suffered from, more or less poverty, because being a single mother and poverty goes hand in hand. Let's not forget that. Let's not neglect that fact either. So our mothers were single mothers. So we've seen how hard it was. So it's not like we chose for us to have this life. But being a single mother now, I see and I realize how hard it is to be a single mother. And so at the time when we're children, we just look at it as, oh, my mommy's strong and I can be strong just like my mom. And if, I get to a certain age, I can have a baby too. And, it's just gonna be nothing, it's nothing for me to have a baby, whoopty whoopty whop. And, majority of the time, especially when we're in, as young girls and young men, when we're in heat or when we're, hitting our puberty ages, when we're thinking about sex and whatnot, we want to explore, but because our mom is out of the house so much or our daddy's never been there, we're exploring sex on our own, and we're not really even communicating with our parents, or we're kind of even scared to communicate with our parents that we are having intercourse. So then, because there's that lack of communication, because there's no parent in the household, there's no mom, there's no dad, and if we do tell mom, there's a chance that we might get our ass whooped, because of the simple fact that she was raised by a single mom and she doesn't want you to go through the same thing that she went through, possibly. So she doesn't want you to repeat the cycle. But because you're not really educated on sex like that, you repeat the cycle anyway. So then you get, and this is just unknowingly, especially if you come from a Christian home or a Christian background, because us as Christians, or not us as Christians, but Christians are very secretive, and they like to sweep things under the rug. My family, I come from a family of Christians, and so Christians like to sweep things under the rug. They don't really like to talk about sex like that, or whatever is going on with, they don't like to talk about it, period. Let's just keep it 1,000. They don't like to talk about it. So if you're young, and you're having sex, it's hard for you to talk to your parents about you having sex. It is. So then we have babies young. We find comfort in a man because our daddy wasn't there, especially for young girls. We find comfort in a man because our dad was never there. So we fall in this puppy love. And, voila, here comes a baby. And it's not because we purposely wanted it. We were thinking that we were going to be, you know how it is when you find, the puppy love, you in high school, fine, cute boy. Oh, he's so cute. He's so fine, And then, whoop, you have an uneducated sex, because that's what it is. It's uneducated sex, because a lot of us, didn't even know about nothing about really being pregnant until we were actually pregnant. A lot of women, African American, they didn't really know what it meant to be pregnant until they were actually pregnant, because the topic hasn't really been discussed like that too much. We're not discussing the topic enough. We're not educating our children on sex the way that we need to be. Right? So, the puppy love. Right? Some of us were addicts, addicted to certain drugs or alcohol at a young age. Let's just keep it 1,000. Hey, it is what it is. This is us being a product of our environment. We have to take accountability for what's going on. Us African American women, we have to take accountability. So what I was saying is, some of us had addictions. Some of us were addicted heavily to drugs and alcohol. And in the result of that, we had children. Some of us might have even lost our children to the system. Right? Some of us might have even lost our children to the system because of the simple fact that we had an addiction. And because when we had that baby, and a lot of times back in the day, they would force you to breastfeed the baby. They weren't giving you no milk for your baby, or they weren't giving you no Similac or no Enfamil for your baby. They were forcing you to breastfeed the baby, so they made sure of what was going into the baby's system and what was coming out of yours. Because they don't understand, nobody understands just the vibe and just the overall lifestyle of being a Black woman. We are suppressed on so many different levels. So of course, when we don't have any other outlet, when we don't have any friends, because all of us are constantly bickering back and forth with each other because we are so mentally enslaved to the point of where we can't even get along. We don't have any friends. We don't have anybody to talk to. Barely got any parents. Daddy gone. Mama always, whatever. And that's even if we were blessed to even have parents that were actually there for us, because not a lot of us had that. So dealing with that, dealing with just so many different things, we turn to drugs. We resort to drugs. Yes, deaths in our family. Being broke in itself will make you want to hit the pipe. I understand it. I get it. Especially when you have children to feed. It's hard. It's not easy. So we go through all these certain dynamics, and they set it up that way for a reason. They knew that we were going to have to suffer from racism, and we're going to have to suffer from favoritism on the job. Black male favoritism, I should say, because that is a true a real thing, I believe, in the workplace, is that black male favoritism, where they'll promote a Black man sooner than they'll promote a Black woman, because they feel like Black women are inadequate. So we suffer from that. And then we suffer from so many other different issues on top of, relationship issues. We suffer from so much. So, yeah. We might go hit some whatever, some weed, some trees, hell, crack cocaine. We might go drink our life away. Yes, because we deal with so much on a daily basis. Nobody knows what it means to be a black woman, right? So they make sure that you and the baby don't have anything in the system, right? So if you did have anything in the system, baby's going to the system, and so that's that whole cycle. But some of us had addictions, and result of that addiction, we had children. And so because of that addiction, because of our circumstance, we bring more hurt to our community. Let's just put it like that, as nicely as put. Some of us as women have had children to keep a man around. Let's just keep it 1,000. Some of us women have purposely kept a man around or had a baby just to keep a man around. Yes, hey, it happens. When you go through life with nobody to help you, feeling lonely, underappreciated, unappreciated, unworthy, you want somebody. You want to be able to hold on to whatever type of love you can receive. Because as a black woman, which Pierre just say, it's hard. But we will get far. We will get through everything. We just as women have to get back to us. We have to take back our power. Right? But anyway, back to what I was saying. Some of us have did it to keep a man around. No matter what this man has put us through, no matter what this man has done, a man can be hurting, touching your baby, your children. A man could be, cheating on you, bringing you all back type of disease. A man could be, whatever. A man could do whatever to us. And because we love so hard and our hearts are so big, we are willing to take whatever. We are literally willing to be abused. Physically, mentally, emotionally, we are willing to be abused just for somebody to love us. Nobody knows what we go through. And it's so hard for us as women, black women, for us to even be able to maintain a relationship with a black man. And we give birth to black men, and it's so hard for us to maintain a relationship with them. Why? We don't get it. I don't get it. But I don't get it, but I understand. And so I understand why we have children to keep a man around. I understand that. I understand why we have children to make sure that, to think that the man is going to come back. I understand. And so we as black women, we have children for a number of different reasons other than the main reason why we should be having children, which is to populate the earth and to raise healthy families, healthy dynamic families, whole families, so that we are able to let our genes live on, our ancestor DNA, our lineage to live on for generations to come, for us to build generational wealth. That is the reason why we should We are supposed to be having children. If you look at other races, if you look at Mexicans or white people, if you look at Asians, they're having children because they are planning children to be able to live on their legacy, to take on their legacy. That is why they have children. That is the purpose of having children, to be able to build them up in a family structured home centered around love, so that they are able to grow emotionally happy with both parents and to be able to flourish in life for the future. That is the main reason why we are supposed to have children. But because since the 50s, the 60s, things have been torn apart, the black family structure has been diminished. And that is the reason why 73% or more of African American households are of single mother households. We have children because we love so hard. We are willing to give our whole life up for love, regardless of the fact if that's from a man or from a child. We are so filled with love that all we want to be is loved. So we are going to do whatever we can to get that love. All we want is love in all actuality. All a black woman wants is love and appreciation. That's all we want. That's all we want. And so as we move forward, because we can't continue to cry over spilled milk and about what has happened in the past and how fucked up, and excuse my language, but we can't keep crying over spilled milk about how things have turned, how things are, and how things, just how things are, just like what I was saying. We can't keep crying about that. So what I will suggest, in order for us to start to heal the generation that we are raising, because this is for the 80s and the 90s babies, because like I said, we are raising the 2000 babies. And I know a lot of us are single mothers. A lot of us are raising these children on our own. And we need to do the most it is that we can to heal them and make sure that they have the most successful future. Right? So this is basically my challenge to the mommies. For us to be able to uplift our youth, restore and replenish their mind, bodies, and souls. And the only way that we're able to do that is by first trying to eliminate the babysitters as much as possible. I know it gets hard for us as black women. It gets hard. We got to work and we got to do this and we got to do that because we are trying to, build things for our children. So it's hard for us, but we have to do the best that we can to eliminate babysitters. We don't know what in the world is going on with our children when our children are out and about with babysitters. And let's just keep it 1,000, sometimes even our own family and friends is like putting our children into the hands of the killers and the rapists and the molesters. Okay, and so we realize that we can't trust some of the closest people close to us. The closest people close to us is the snakes. Low key, everybody knows that. Most of the time, the family closest to us is the snakes. Right? So we need to do the best that we can as women to eliminate the babysitters as much as possible and get into our children's head. Talk to them, because if children are being abused, a lot of the times they're not going to talk about it because they're afraid to talk, or maybe because they're embarrassed. Right? So we need to talk to our children more, get in our children's head more. So eliminate the babysitters as much as possible. Spend more quality time with our children. Talk to our children more. Do more activities with our children. Take them outside. Spend more time with them in the bath. Things of that nature. Spend more time talking with our children. Okay? We need to, as women, teach more. Teach more to our children. We need to be teaching our children as much as possible. We can't just leave teaching in the hands of our oppressors. Black women, we can't do that. We can't leave our education into the hands of our oppressors. How many times have you seen so many children who don't even know how to read be able to still graduate high school? There has been many cases where children will still be passing under grade level, but they will pass your child because they don't want your child to have the full potential of a full education. They don't want that. They don't, especially an African American child. So we need to be taking education into our own hands as well. We have to take control over what it is our children are learning. We don't even know what it is exactly that they're teaching our children nowadays, because the curriculum is always changing. The curriculum is always changing. And so we have to keep up with not only the curriculum, but we also have to be able to input certain things into the curriculum so that we have some sort of control over what our children are learning. We have to start getting our children back, start implementing certain structural roles that our ancestors or our grandparents had with us. We have to start implementing back that type of stuff back into our structure so that we are able to keep a grip on our children. We already see some of the 2000 children who are 18, because let's look at that. A lot of children, the 2000 children, the children born in 2000, they're already 18 and 19 years old, and they a hot mess. And so for the children who are younger and are coming up, us as parents, if we can, we need to get a grip on our children. And for the elders, for the moms and the fathers of the 60s and the 70s, if you are still here, gratitude and thanks for paving the way, and honor and respect to my ancestors that are not here. And I say this with all honor, with all due respect, but the elders of this, the 70s and 80s, you all have to start healing as well. Just like I said, a lot of the elders, especially in the 70s and the 80s, they suffered from a lot of different situations. The crack epidemic, just so many different things that happened just within that generation that affected the 80s and the 90s babies that the 2000 babies are paying for. You know what I'm saying? So the 70s and the 80s, the 70s and the 80s, the 60s and 70s, you know what I'm trying to say? Y'all have to start implementing some healing as well. There is no perfect mother, so we understand the circumstances have happened in the past, but we can't continue to cry over that spilled milk anymore. We need our elders, our grandmothers, our mothers, our aunties. We need y'all to pick up where y'all left off, if possible, and start to re-heal y'all's generations that y'all have left scorned and really jacked up. We need y'all to try to pick some of this slack up for us, y'all. We need your help with this. So the elders, you all still have a responsibility for the children growing up in the 2000s. you all still have a responsibility to that, because this is indeed your bloodline. So, elders, no matter what the circumstance, no matter what happened, no matter if you was strung out, drunked out, whatever, however, whatever, you are still a mother, and God still blessed you with the ability to conceive and grow seeds. So if the foundation started off rocky and fucked up, okay, that's fine. Excuse my language to the elders, I do apologize. But if it started off rocky, that's understandable. But we have to start repairing ourselves first as women, and then start repairing our generations to come, so that our babies can have a better lifestyle. All right? I understand there is no perfect mother, but the perfect mother love can exist. Okay? And so that's just one of the things that I wanted to touch on today. As my mothers, my black queens, I love you. Like I said, I am my sister. So when you fuck up, I fuck up with you. I want to thank you all for watching my video on today's Mother's Day. And like I said, subscribe, hit that bell button so that you are able to be notified for when I go live. Watch out for that, because we are going to be having so many more topics coming up from a real black girl. So tune in with me, mess with me, F with me. You know, I'm trying to limit my cussing. So F with me. Peace, family.